today's the birthday of the Marine Corps, and would like to wish the Marine Corps a happy birthday. And Coach Dooley was a Marine, so we certainly appreciate all they've done and all the service they've provided to our country. And tomorrow's Veterans Day, and we'd love to thank all our veterans for the service they've provided as well for our country. I know my family and wife and kids certainly appreciate all they've done as veterans of this country. So thanks to the many that have. I'll open it up with, we had 2 really good practices. I thought Monday was good, really light, because obviously we're lower on numbers and banged up, but today was good. We had a good Tuesday practice. We're forced to go inside a little bit with the weather here in Athens, and I thought it helped with the speed of things in terms of guys were really popping, moving fast. It was good. So I was really, really pleased with the practice, and we'll go get ready now for third down and red area.
All right, let's take questions. Let's start with Seth Emerson and then Dean Legge.
Kirby, for all the talk about offense, I wanted to ask about the pass defense. This is twice this year the pass defense has been kind of exposed, if that's the right term. And you can go back to the SEC championship last year too. Is there any concern about anything you're doing schematically, or is it just one of those things that offense is well ahead of defense these days?
Yeah, I would definitely say there was a concern schematically in terms of, putting guys in tough situations. I mean, we have a philosophical belief that you have to be able to play man-to-man to play defense in this conference. And, maybe sometimes we need to try to help the guys out some. And sometimes in our I don't know the right word, our defensive world, our defensive system, it can be all or nothing. It can be feast or famine, because you either shut somebody down and it's incomplete 2nd and 10 or 3rd and 10, or you can give up a big play. I mean, look at the Tennessee game, right? I mean, there were times where they couldn't breathe and we suffocated them, and there were times we gave up two 9 balls like back to back, So kind of the same thing with Alabama at times, but philosophically, I don't think I'm ever going to change from you have to play man-to-man, you have to be aggressive, you have to pressure, you have to play combination coverages. To be honest with you, it's not so much that we got to change the scheme, but that we got to get the scheme right. And that's the toughest part for me to swallow. In 2 of those games, there were a lot of mistakes. And I don't blame the players for the mistakes. I blame myself. We got to do a better job of getting them to execute what we need them to do. And you could be simpler, but I've seen what simple does too on teams like that. They can expose that as well. So you just got to be careful. I thought LSU, there was not bus. You know what I mean? They beat us, but we had bus in the other 2 games that, you give gifts away. You can get beat one-on-one, just don't give up gifts.
Hey, Kirby, this is Dean. I wanted an update if you got one on the quarterbacks. And then on top of that, there's so many games that have been canceled this weekend. If something happens with y'all getting canceled, what will y'all do Saturday / this weekend?
Well, this is a long thought out process. I'll be honest with you, Dean, I don't even want to think about that. I know there's rumors out there and things like that, but I don't want to plan on that. I don't want to say what I'm going to do, because a lot of that can be dictated by what the next week is, what we're going to do. We've talked about it as a staff, and we got a plan we feel comfortable with. We got to continue to get our team better. I'll say this, that we need a game. We want to play, and if we get given an opportunity to do that, then we will. If we don't, then we got to work to get better. And, we get to go against each other pretty good too. And we got a pretty good defense, a pretty good offense to go against each other and compete as well. So we'd love to do that. As far as the quarterbacks, all I'm going to say is that they're all out there. They're doing a really good job. Stetson hasn't been able to throw, but those guys are working really hard. Carson's gotten work. He's gotten work, and Dewan's gotten work. And I'm pleased with all 3 of them. I think the juice on the offensive ball has been good with George is practicing, so it's been helpful that he's out there. Some of the other younger guys are out there. So there's a lot of receivers getting a lot of reps.
Let's go to Anthony Dasher and then Mike Griffith.
Coach, speaking of wide receivers getting work, can you give an update on Arian Smith? I know he traveled to Jacksonville. Kind of how close was he to giving you a hand at the position?
Well, he's just coming back. He got injured before camp. So, when you come back from that injury, it's not like you come back and you just jump right in. You know, I mean, you don't do that. He hadn't caught a ball. He hadn't been able to do much. I mean, he's working his way back in, and he certainly has a trait that we're looking for in vertical speed. But he's young, he's raw, he's really working hard. I love his attitude and his energy. So can he help us? Hopefully. Right now, I don't know if he can help us right now because it's not that easy. You know, he's got to develop. He's a player that came from a really small school to Lakeland, and he's gotten better and better and better. But he's still got ways to go to get where he needs to help us.
Kirby, just a question for the guys that come from the scouts or the third team, I guess JT and Carson. How quickly do they adapt to working with different personnel? Is there an adjustment period as far as the timing? You'd mentioned the different speeds of receivers the other night.
Timing, I'm not sure I understand your question. Where they're coming from scouts? You're talking about when they go from scouts to going to the offense, the ones and twos, and all the different things. Well, they're always with those guys. They throw those guys every day, Mike. Like the first thing we do in practice, the periods that you guys used to hang out there and video and watch, they're throwing with the ones and twos. So like, there's not a timing issue because that's what we call routes on air. You know what I mean? Like you throw the ball with your receivers. So I think when you say coming from the scouts and coming from the threes, those are just reps to get protection right. Those are reps to develop and get better, but they're not timing, because you get timing when you're going with our offense, our ones and twos, which they do that every day in the first 15 minutes of practice.
Let's go to Chip Towers and then Mark Weiser.
Yeah, Coach. The other day, I didn't get a chance to ask you about this. That you mentioned it. That was a great opening play. The 32 personnel truck sweep left. I don't know if we saw that play again. I know you did a lot of different things, and I know that's not something you can line up and do a lot. But can you just talk about that play, and if that's something that you can do more often, just try to bulldoze some guys.
Yeah, it's probably not a bulldoze play. I wouldn't call it that. It was it was a sweep. It was outside, and it was one of those deals where you pin pull against a team that's built to stop inside run. We felt like they were expecting inside run, so we wanted to go outside. And we did a good job executing that play, and it was something that our offensive staff had put together, and we actually repped it against our defense, who's similar to Florida's, and it worked great. It was awesome, and you could probably make the case for running again. But in our league, the first thing they were doing over there after the touchdown was drawing up. It kind of caught them off guard. It's like running a trick play because it's not the same personnel grouping. But it's not to say you couldn't have tried it again. Certainly could have tried it again. And if you got 3 or 4 yards, it'd have been a successful play, right? It'd have been a great play. But they certainly would have had something dialed up off of it. Our job is to complement that play now. And I agree with you. We're always trying to find a niche, a gadget, something, they're not expecting. That's what good offenses do, is try not to be predictable.
Kirby, with JT being one of the guys getting work that you saw this week at quarterback, what have you learned in 2 practices in terms of, just from his overall game? And is his mobility something that would keep him off the field?
I think that I've seen that he's got a quick release. Which I see that every day anyway, because he was with us on the scouts. You know what I mean? He's got good command and presence, meaning he understands the offense in terms of timing, communication, snap count, motions, all the things that you want a quarterback to be able to do. He does a good job of that. You can't really judge mobility in our practices, unfortunately, because it's not real. There's no way I can't go out there and go live tackle. That's not something I can do. So you don't get a clean picture from the scouts because sometimes they're not talented enough to rush the passer and give you the look. The best periods we have are when we go against each other, and we've only had a few of those. We don't do that on Monday, and we did it a little bit today. So it's hard to answer that question with 2 days body at work for really any of those 3 guys.
Thanks.
Let's go to Jake Rowe and then Brandon Sudge.
Hey, Kirby, I just wanted to ask you, as far as your injuries go, how's Jordan Davis doing now that you've gotten the chance to practice a couple times this week? Has he practiced at all? And then what's the story with Lewis Seen and concussion protocol at this point?
Lewis is still in concussion protocol, but he's exercising. He's able to work and run. He just no contact right now, and hopefully we'll get cleared. Jordan is working extremely hard. Most important thing for Jordan is obviously keeping his weight down. He's done that. He's getting more yardage and more miles per hour and more sweat than any of the D linemen, but he has not been in full pads or anything. But he's getting a lot of work, and I'm really proud of the way he's working.
Hey, Kirby, so I want to ask you about Jamie Newman. So has he been around the program at all since he opted out? Has he worked out with y'all? Has he been a voice in the quarterback room? And then also, how have y'all kind of supported him and worked with him through this whole process of preparing for the NFL?
Yeah, I hadn't seen Jamie. We communicated, obviously when he left, and maybe a couple times since then. But he hasn't been with us. And I don't know if he's been with the players or not outside of the building. But I hadn't seen Jamie here. I think he's training.
Okay, let's go to red and black. I don't know. Is that Griffin? Is that you? And then we'll go to Blaine.
Yeah, that's me. So coming off the loss this past weekend to Florida and the SEC having some cancellations, is there any worry about where your guys' heads are right now, or are you pretty confident that they'll be ready for anything?
I think you're always concerned as a coach. I mean, you're playing 11 a.m. Central, I think, on the road. It's always interesting when the crowd's not there and not full, and that's tough. But it is what it is. It's what we prepare for. You know what I mean? We talk about it. We try to get them ready for it. But I don't have concern that they're not ready. I'm more worried about preparing them to be ready, and that's what the job of a coach is, to prepare them for any situation. And that's the leadership's job. And I think our kids are doing a good job. Like I said, they had really good energy today.
Hey, Coach, just wanted to know, how excited are you for some of these younger guys? I know it's always unfortunate we have injuries, but how excited are you for some of these younger guys, and how did specifically players like Major Burns and Chris Smith, how did they end up, responding to the feedback you guys gave them from the Florida game?
I think they handled it well. It's very technical. I talked about it on Monday. You explained that nobody wants to play good more than those kids. So, I mean, it's really important to them. If it's not important to them, then I don't want them on my team. And those two kids meet extra, come in. I mean, they want to get it right. They do. But there's something about, and I've always said in our league, until you've played 4 to 5 games as a starter, you're going to have silly mistakes that I can't explain. I've never seen a player not have them. And I call them growing pains. So until you go through those growing pains, it's going to be tough. And Major had some growing pains. Chris didn't really have many growing pains, but he's had his already. He's already kind of gone through it last year and some this year. So I'm proud of the way those guys have responded this week. And they get a sense of urgency to learn now. You sit in the meeting for so long and it gets numb and they get bored and they don't listen. And then all of a sudden they're in there and they're like, oh, wow, I might should have listened during all those meetings. And they start doing it a lot better now. So it gets their attention.
Okay, let's go to Connor Riley. Then we'll see if Justin has a question. Connor?
Hey, Kirby, after a result like that against Florida, does your messaging to recruits change, and what is it, especially when you're not able to sort of get in front of them face-to-face because of the restrictions due to COVID?
No, my message doesn't change. We're looking for high execution. We're going to play in 3 to 4 top 10 games a year. You're going to be at one of the elite programs, and you're going to get a great degree at the University of Georgia. If you want to be part of our family, we want you. But if you choose to come here, you're going to do things the right way. We're going to demand discipline, toughness. We're going to play really hard. And hope they don't bust coverages, and hope they don't make mistakes and turn the ball over and try to win big games, And we believe in developing the total player, and that's what we sell in recruiting. It has nothing to do with the outcome of that game, the next game, or the next game. Recruiting is about relationships, and those kids see opportunity. They're not as concerned with the wins and losses.
Justin, do you have a question?
Yeah. Appreciate it, Claude. Kirby, you spoke a little bit earlier about, the plan if something happened with Mizzou and COVID this weekend. When you look around the league, 3 games already postponed. It's not like you guys have let your guard down. but do you redouble your efforts when you see it happening other places?
Yeah, I think Ron, of course, and his staff have done a tremendous job of realizing it's misleading what's out there, because everybody thinks that COVID is taking over the teams. It's not. They're having mild 1 or maybe 2 cases, but the contact tracing is what's causing people to not play. Because when you travel and you go on a plane, you sit in a small locker room, you sit on a bus, all of a sudden you go from having 2 guys with COVID to 14 guys contact traced, and now you can't play. So it's not that COVID is doing it. It's tough. It's the contact tracing, the rules and regulations that we fall under for safety reasons.
We got time for a couple more questions. Let's open it up. Anybody?
Kirby, I wanted to ask you, Zion Logan and Bill Norton. I know Bill played, I guess, a lot in the Arkansas game, but that was the first time we'd had a chance to play, see Zion. What did you think about the way those guys stepped up and the number of snaps they played?
Yeah, I don't remember in Florida game how much. I know Bill was in 1 snap, because I remember it, but Zion played quite a few, and they're getting better. You know what kills those guys like that is they never got that off season. They never got like the really heavy lifting. We were concerned going in the game that they would be able to hold up, because Florida was really big in the run. They did a decent job in stopgap in the run and holding up. We didn't get a lot of great pass rush out of the guys inside, which we needed. But they did hold up against the run, and Zion made a couple plays, and I was really proud of him going in and getting those growing pains I talked about. Trying to get through some of those is some added depth.
Coach, in terms of those growing pains, you got a bunch of injuries at receiver right now. Marcus going out, George's out. Are Justin Robinson and Micaiah Tongue getting any closer to getting their opportunities to get some of those growing pains?
Hopefully. Justin works every day. He's continuing to get better. He's developing. He's getting smarter. He's trying to help on special teams. He's developing a role. Micaiah's been out with a hamstring. He's in the injury department with the other 100 guys we got in there. So he hasn't been able to practice. But Justin is getting better. He's learning. He's competing, and it's been like a cycle in there. It's been guy in, guy out, guy in, guy out, and that kind of packaged with new terminology and new words. It's been a struggle getting enough guys to play at what I call above the line level, and we're hopeful to get some more of those guys back and be able to help us at receiver.
Thanks,
Coach. Real quick, Richard LeCounte. I think he told a CBS reporter or something that it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks on him getting back. I don't think we've heard anything specific from you on that. Do you anticipate being able to get him back at all this season? And if so, do you have a timeline for him?
We're hopeful to. I know I've asked Ron the same question, and he feels like we will, but he wouldn't put a timetable on it of 4 to 6 weeks. It's more when he heals. Right now, he's getting more exercise now. He's able to do some things on the bike. He's still got some open wounds. He's not able to get in the pool and train, which we're hopeful to get him in the pool before the end of this week. He's been out at practice. He enjoys being around the meetings. He's making his way back to more normalcy, but whether or not he makes it back or not will depend on how long the season goes.